This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, or so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. Hi there, welcome back to the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with your host, David Charlton. Now, today is going to be the first of a series of short solo episodes where I ask ChatGPT a question about sports psychology or mental toughness, and then I go on to discuss its findings and whether ChatGPT is actually correct or not. So, for today, the question I have on my phone is, what can I expect when working with a sports psychologist? And ChatGPT, well, it came up with working with a sports psychologist can offer a range of benefits and experiences. Here's what you might expect. And then it goes on to list 8 things that you can expect. I'm not going to reel off the 8 today. I'm going to focus in on number 1. So number 1 is assessment, with some asterisks it mentions. It says initial sessions often involve assessments to understand your mental skills, strengths, and areas of improvement. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this, how I work, and perhaps how other sports psychologists work too. So for me, an assessment, how does that actually pan out? Generally what happens is a client will email me or they will message me to ask a little bit about my services. We then go on to arrange a short telephone call about 15-20 minutes long where I pick their brains, they ask me lots of questions, and in effect I'm forming a strategy on how I'm going to help them. I'm starting to think about what the intervention needs to look like. The first session then is a needs analysis session. So this needs analysis session, I try to draw on what's called the Sport Clinical Intake Protocol. And this looks at the presenting problem that they're bringing to me, the life and athletic history. We have social support I'm trying to factor into this, their health status. We've got important life events. We've got any changes that have taken place prior to the onset of this potential problem. Then we've got the details of the problem. So that's right, in effect, the initial 15-20 minute conversation and then the first session, I'm trying to put together a strategy to be able to help take the person from A to B. If you're looking for a quick fix, if you're looking for a one session wonder and put a plaster on your challenge, your problem, then I'm not the person for you. And the vast majority of sports psychologists won't help you in that respect. They'll want to work with you for potentially 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours plus, depending on their professional philosophy and their approach in helping you. What I've found over the years is if I work in a solution-orientated way, so a client brings to me a challenge, within around about 4 hours worth of support, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little bit longer, I really can make a huge difference. And that 4 hours worth of support will look different depending on the person that I'm working with. If it was a young child, the sessions could well be 30 minutes long or 40 minutes long. So that means we're looking at 6 to 8 sessions, and you can make a big difference. Sometimes it can be more complex, so you need to be lengthening that process out. If it's an adult, 4 hours or 6 hours again can make a huge difference, and those sessions might well be 4 1-hour-long sessions or 6 1-hour-long sessions. Sessions can be a little bit shorter as well, depending on the personal preference of the client. So they can be 40 minutes long too. So there can be some differences. If I'm working with a golfer, then I have to adjust the way I approach things. So 4 hours likely won't cut it. It might be that we do 4 1-hour-long sessions, but we also spend 4 hours plus on a golf course. Or the 4 1-hour length sessions aren't necessarily just going to be sit down in a safe space, confidential place, discussing strategies, discussing ways to actually get over some of these challenges. They might well be quite practical. They could be on a golf course, they could be on a putting green, they could be on a range quite easily. Which gets me on to context there and how the contexts change and how really just relying on ChatGPT isn't going to give you the full picture. So if I'm working in a football club, which I do currently do some consulting there, there's going to be actually a lot of 5-10 minute conversations take place with players where they're just picking my brains about certain things. And the coaching staff as well, and the support staff. There might not necessarily be this structured 4 or 6 hour or 10-hour program as such. It could be a 5-minute message one week, then you leave it for a couple of weeks, and then another 5-minute message. Or if we're there on a match day, it could be a little conversation before the game or at half time. That sort of thing can take place. The other thing as well about working as a sports psychologist in a team setting, you're privy to being a part of the MDT, so the multidisciplinary team, and meetings there. You can work with the leadership team. You can work on team dynamics. And when you do get involved in those types of roles and those types of support, going back to the needs analysis, there is going to be some time of reflection, of putting together strategies, plans, again, to be able to move the team or the organization forward. I hope this short episode gives you a little bit of a flavor for working as a sports psychologist. As I say, I'm going to be answering more and more questions and picking ChatGPT's brains, if you like, and then exploring this over the coming weeks. I hope you have a fantastic day ahead. Take care. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sports psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.